We dive deep into real-life crime stories, peeling back the layers of mysteries that have haunted the world for years. From chilling unsolved cases to shocking investigations, we leave no stone unturned. With every video, we bring you the raw truth. No shortcuts, no fluff, just the facts you need to understand what really happened. If you're ready to uncover the dark, untold truths and explore the cases that remain unchanged, hit that subscribe button. My name is Greg, and welcome to Unchanged.
November 15, 1979. The sky above the Midwest is clear as American Airlines Flight 444 lifts off from Chicago, heading for Washington, D.C. Inside, passengers settle in, briefcases snap shut, a mother adjusts her child's seatbelt, flight attendants glide through their routines. It's a typical flight, one of hundreds crisscrossing the country that day. But something is wrong. Tucked away in the cargo hold, hidden among luggage and mailbags, is a small wooden box. No one knows it's there. No one hears the faint ticking inside. At 10,000 feet, the plane jolts violently. A loud bang echoes through the fuselage, followed by a plume of thick, acrid smoke pouring from the vents. Oxygen masks drop as passengers gasp for air, their screams drowned out by the roar of strained engines. The pilots wrestle with the controls, sweat beading on their foreheads as they declare an emergency. The cabin fills with chaos, coughing, crying, the crackle of static over the intercom. For 20 agonizing minutes, the plane limps back to Earth, landing hard at O'Hare International Airport. Miraculously, everyone survives, but 12 passengers are rushed to the hospital, coughing up blood from smoke inhalation. Investigators swarm the wreckage, sifting through twisted metal and charred debris. They find it, the remnants of a homemade bomb, meticulously crafted from wood scraps, nails, and a crude altimeter trigger. This wasn't a random act. It was deliberate, calculated, and chillingly precise. The bomber had struck before, and he would strike again. The FBI calls him FC at first, a code name from his own cryptic signature. Later, the press dubs him the Unabomber, a shadowy figure targeting universities, airlines, and symbols of modern life. For 17 years, he terrorizes the nation, mailing death in plain brown packages, each one a puzzle with no fingerprints, no clues, no mercy. Who is this man, this ghost who seems to vanish into thin air? What drives him to wage a one-man war against the world? And how does a nation catch a killer who hides in plain sight? Stay with me, because this story isn't just about bombs or bloodshed. It's about a mind, a brilliant, broken mind, that turned its genius into a weapon. It's about a manhunt that spanned decades, a family torn apart, and a manifesto that some still whisper about today. What if I told you the key to stopping him wasn't a gun or a trap, but his own words? Let's rewind to May 25, 1978. It's a quiet afternoon at the University of Illinois in Chicago. A package sits in the engineering department's mailroom, addressed to a professor who doesn't recognize it. The return address points to Northwestern University, but something feels off. A campus security guard, Terry Marker, picks it up to investigate. As he turns it over, it explodes in his hands. Shrapnel tears through his flesh, leaving him bloodied and dazed. It's not lethal, but it's a warning shot, a crude, handmade bomb built from match heads and nails. The FBI is called in, but there's little to go on. No fingerprints, no witnesses, just a pile of splinters and a question: who did this? A year later, on May 9, 1979, another bomb detonates at Northwestern University, injuring a graduate student, John Harris, as he opens a cigar box left in a common area. Then comes Flight 444, the airline attack that nearly brings down a Boeing 727. By 1980, the bomber targets Percy Wood, president of United Airlines, with a package disguised as a novel. Wood survives, but his hands and face are scarred for life. The pattern is emerging: universities, airlines, technology. The FBI coins the term Unabomber, short for university and airline bombing, naming their invisible enemy the Unabomber. From 1978 to 1995, he strikes 16 times. 3 people die, 23 are injured, and fear seeps into everyday life. Mailrooms become danger zones, packages suspect. The bombs grow more sophisticated: pipe bombs, pressure triggers, chemical explosives, all built from junkyard scraps, wood, wire, batteries. He's a craftsman of chaos, leaving no DNA, no hair, no trace. The FBI forms a task force, eventually swelling to 150 agents, analysts, and profilers. They comb through debris, interview victims, chase dead ends. Early theories point to a disgruntled airline worker or a mechanic with a grudge. But the targets widen. Computer stores, scientists, executives. In 1987, a witness in Salt Lake City spots a man in a hooded sweatshirt and sunglasses placing a bomb. The sketch becomes iconic: a thin face, aviators, a mustache. It's plastered on TV screens and post offices nationwide, but it leads nowhere. The Unabomber is a phantom, striking at random, then disappearing into the ether. By the mid-1980s, the case is a national obsession. News anchors speculate, armchair detectives theorize, families of victims plead for answers. The FBI's frustration mounts: millions spent, thousands of suspects cleared, and still no face, no name. Was he a lone wolf or part of a network? A genius or a madman? One thing is certain: he's watching, waiting, and planning his next move. This isn't just a crime spree, it's a message, a twisted protest against a world he despises. But what does he want? And how long can he stay one step ahead? To catch the Unabomber, we need to know who he was before the bombs. Meet Theodore John Kaczynski, born May 22, 1942, in Chicago. Ted's a prodigy. By age 10, his IQ tests top 167. At 16, he's accepted to Harvard, diving into mathematics with a mind that sees patterns others miss. But brilliance comes with a shadow. He's awkward, withdrawn, a loner who prefers equations to people. At Harvard, he's recruited for a psychological study by Dr. Henry Murray, part of the CIA's MKUltra program. For 3 years, Ted's subjected to brutal interrogations, mocked, humiliated, his beliefs dismantled. Some say it scars him, turning his distrust into rage. After Harvard, he earns a PhD at the University of Michigan, then lands a teaching gig at UC Berkeley in 1967. He's 25, the youngest professor there. Colleagues call him shy but gifted. Yet in 1969, he quits without explanation, vanishing to a shack in Lincoln, Montana. No electricity, no plumbing, just Ted, his books, and the wilderness. He hunts, grows food, and writes, nursing a growing hatred for technology and the society it fuels. Back in the world, the bombings escalate. In 1981, a bomb at the University of Utah is defused, no injuries, but a bolder move. In 1985, grad student James McConnell loses a finger at Michigan. That December, Hugh Scruton, a computer store owner in Sacramento, picks up a wooden block in his parking lot. It explodes, killing him instantly, the Unabomber's first fatality. The FBI doubles down, but Kaczynski's careful. He sands wood to erase marks, uses fake return addresses, mails from different states. The 1990s bring deadlier strikes. In 1993, geneticist Charles Epstein opens a package at home in California. Shrapnel blinds him in one eye. Days later, Yale professor David Gelernter survives a similar blast, his hand mangled. In 1994, Thomas Mosser, an ad executive in New Jersey, dies when a bomb rips through his kitchen. His wife, Susan, finds his body, Christmas decorations still up, blood pooling on the floor. In 1995, Gilbert Murray, a forestry lobbyist, opens a package in Sacramento. The blast is so strong it tears him apart, leaving his office a smoking ruin. The FBI's profile sharpens, a reclusive intellectual, anti-technology, likely a former academic. They sift through university records, interview survivalists, chase ghosts. Kaczynski taunts them, sending letters to newspapers signed FC, Freedom Club. In April 1995, he mails a 35,000-word manifesto to the New York Times and the Washington Post, demanding publication or more will die. Titled Industrial Society and Its Future, it's a rant against machines, progress, and human dependence. The FBI debates, publish and risk emboldening him, or refuse and face another death. They choose to print, hoping someone recognizes the voice. Victims' families speak out. Hugh Scruton's widow, Ellen, recalls his kindness, his plans for a family. Susan Mosser weeps on camera, asking why her husband was targeted. The toll isn't just physical, it's a nation on edge, mail carriers gloved, professors wary. Kaczynski's war isn't random, it's personal, ideological, a scream into the void. But who's listening? September 19, 1995. The Washington Post prints the Unabomber's Manifesto. It's a gamble, 35,000 words of dense, angry prose, railing against industrialization, computers, and modern life. Kaczynski promises no more bombs if it's published. The FBI prays it's not a bluff. Across the country, people read it, some dismiss it as lunacy, others nod at its warnings. But one man feels a chill, David Kaczynski, Ted's younger brother. David, a social worker in New York, hasn't seen Ted in years. Their bond frayed when Ted retreated to Montana, sending bitter letters about society's collapse. Now, reading the manifesto, David spots echoes, phrases like cool-headed logicians, spellings like willfully and clue, quirks from their Chicago childhood. He digs up old letters from Ted, comparing them side by side. The style, the rage, it's too close. Torn between love and duty, David contacts a lawyer, then the FBI in February 1996. Agents move fast. Linguistic experts analyze the texts, syntax, vocabulary, tone. It's a match. They trace Ted's past, Chicago, Berkeley, bus trips to mail bombs. By March, they pinpoint his cabin in Lincoln, Montana, a 10 by 12-foot plywood box, no power, no phone. On April 3, 1996, FBI teams surround it, posing as locals to avoid a shootout. Ted steps out, unshaven, in tattered clothes. He doesn't resist. Inside, they find a treasure trove, bomb parts, 40,000 journal pages, a live explosive labeled Experiment 244. One entry reads, "I intend to start killing people." The Unabomber is caught. The raid stuns the nation. Ted's a Harvard genius turned hermit, a killer who lived off $300 a year. His journals reveal 17 years of attacks, pride in outsmarting the FBI, contempt for his victims. The hooded sketch. Spot on, minus 20 years of aging. But the twist isn't just his capture, it's the Manifesto's afterlife. Some call it prophetic, citing Tech's grip on society. Others see it terrorists' ravings. David's decision haunts him. He takes no reward money, donating it to victims, and later writes, "I lost my brother to save lives." The arrest ends the bombings, but not the questions. Was Ted mad, or a dark mirror of our world? His words linger, debated in dorm rooms and online forums, a chilling legacy no one saw coming. April 3, 1996. Theodore Kaczynski's reign ends in handcuffs. In January 1998, he pleads guilty to 16 bombings, avoiding a trial and the death penalty. The judge sentences him to 4 life terms with no parole, shipping him to ADX Florence, a concrete fortress in Colorado. There, in a 7 by 12-foot cell, he writes, reads, and fades from headlines. On June 10, 2023, at 81, he's found dead, natural causes, says the prison. The Unabomber is gone, but his shadow lingers. The case changes America. Mail screening tightens, X-rays, bomb dogs, new laws. The FBI calls it their longest, costliest manhunt, $50 million, 20,000 tips, 18 years. Victims' families find closure, but scars remain. Susan Mosser rebuilds her life, David Galernter writes books despite his injuries. Ted's cabin is dismantled, later displayed at a museum, a relic of rage. His manifesto fuels endless debate. Tech critics quote it, survivalists idolize it, scholars dissect it. Was he a terrorist, a visionary, or both? He killed for his ideas, but they outlive him, ironic for a man who hated progress. Society moves on, more wired than ever, yet his warnings echo in AI fears and climate dread. Ted Kaczynski was a paradox, a genius who chose isolation, a mathematician who solved problems with murder. His story leaves us uneasy. How does brilliance curdle into evil? How close did he come to disappearing forever? One question lingers: if David hadn't acted, would we still be searching for the Unabomber today? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more real-life crime stories.